Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining today. We want to seek the blessing of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar, Krishna Balaram, Bhagavatam, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Gaunitai Tulsimani, Haridas Thakur, Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So we're continuing with the chapter 9 of Canto 10. We're doing it a little bit slowly compared to the other chapters, especially because this Leela is such a powerful and important Leela, which we recite during the month of Kartik, Damodar month. But we've come across it now because we're going through the Bhagavatam in some sort of systematic way. So, text number 4. While Mother Yashoda...
Hare Krishna, Babaji.
Hare Krishna.
We can't see the screen
Oh,
on
okay. Good, good,
Srimad
good.
Bhagavatam.
Thank you for letting me know. Let's bring it up. Can you see it now?
No, it's still
No,
Narasingha.
we can see Narasimha Purana.
Oh, okay. Let's try this one. 1 second. All right. Now this should be a little bit more better. How about now?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Good. So text number 4. While Mother Yashoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her. And in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. So Yashoda Mai greeted her Lala. My dear, my beloved son, you are awake. How wonderful. But she continued to churn. She was still in the mood of serving Krishna, even though he was right in front of her. Krishna placed his other hand on the churning rope and made it known that he wants to drink her milk. Charmed by her son, Yashoda Mai embraced her darling son, placed her hands under his arms, and raised Krishna to her lap. Gazing for a moment at the indescribable beauty of her son, she drank that beauty through her eyes and was about to nurse when she stopped and pondered. Just 1 second. So, gazing for a moment at the indescribable beauty of her son, she drank that beauty through her eyes and was about to nurse when she stopped and pondered. Why does my son look so different, so beautiful, in ways I've never seen before? So she's seen him every day. She feeds him every day. But every day is a different experience. This is the beauty of the Lord. He is, his qualities, his beauty is always expanding, even though he's the most beautiful anyway, but it's still increasing all the time. This is the inconceivable nature of God. Has he changed in some mysterious way? Or is it I have never really looked at him so deeply? Is this really Krishna? It appears he was made of blue lotus and scattered with different beautiful flowers. She drank in the nectar of her face. Krishna raised the soft petal of his hands and touched her cheek, so being assertive, and said, "Mother, I am hungry." Reprimanding herself why she was being so selfish, enjoying her son instead of serving him, she said, "Poor thing, my darling, my little darling, you must be hungry after sleeping so long." Well, Krishna had been fasting all night, and he said, "I am very hungry and I am very angry." Yashoda Mai, smoothing Krishna's hair with her hands, asked, "Why are you angry?" Krishna said, "Because you are churning butter instead of giving me your milk. If you hadn't stopped, I would have broken the churn." Mother says, "Oh dear, but darling, the butter is meant for you. That may be, but the butter is for later. I am hungry now. Yashoda Mai, marveling at his intelligence, who's only 3 years old, teased him. Then why are you talking? Why don't you drink? The milk poured out from her breast onto the Lord's mouth. Sometimes a little milk will spill from the edge of Krishna's mouth, and Yashodamai would try to wipe the drops from his face with the edge of her veil. Seeing the mark of Shrivatsa and the sign of Lakshmi on his chest, she would try to wipe them away as well, thinking them to be milk. But when she wouldn't be able to, she would whisper, "Oh, yeah, 1 second. You are such a mysterious boy." In the mundane world, the infant is the recipient and the mother the benefactor. But in this sacred exchange, the original maternal relationship, Krishna fully reciprocated with Yashoda Mai, giving as much as he was taking and perhaps even more. So this is the reciprocation. The Lord gives. He gave more to her than she was giving to him. That's very unusual, of course, in the typical mother's child relationship. It's the mother who gives, the child takes. What was Krishna giving? How was he doing it? Simply by Krishna's touch, Yashodamai's bliss increased immeasurably. Krishna also entered his mother's heart, wherein she not only felt the bliss he was enjoying, but also the love for her that he was radiating. As a result, they both became ensnared in a kind of spiritual rivalry in which each simultaneously outdid the other in mutual offering of ever ascending love, culminating in each thinking the following. So Yashodama is thinking, I shall die if I am ever separated from him. Krishna is thinking, how could I ever be without her? At that very moment, the personified prema prepared to open a new chapter in this transcendental loving pastime between the eternal mother and the divine child, a chapter which would be glorified by countless sages in countless books and give tremendous joy to the devotees of the Lord. This pastime is so important and cherished. It is celebrated for a full month, not just a day. So, text number 5. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast, but when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. There was suddenly an emergency. The personality of milk, that is the milk that was on the stove, even the milk is a spiritually enlivened being, living entity. And it was feeling saddened to think that Krishna will not require her service. After all, how can one compare to the ambrosial milk flowing from Yashoda Mai's breast into the lotus mouth of the Lord? In desperation, the milk decided she could not live any longer. If her service to Krishna is made redundant, she started to boil over and jump into the fire. The maid had put too much wood on the fire. The stove became too hot. Milk was boiling over. That's the external reason. But the internal reason was the milk was thinking, what's the point of living? Yashoda Mai saw the milk was about to overflow. She lifted Krishna from her lap and placed him on the floor. With that, she raced off to the kitchen. There you go. Taking off this overflowing pan. Krishna was shocked, feeling hungry and neglected. He bit his lower lip and stamped his feet in anger. After fasting all night, Here he was, teased with a few drops of milk and then abruptly deprived of more. His stomach was pained with hunger, and at the same time, he was deprived of his mother's love. Double whammy. Anger rose within him, and he began to growl like a lion cub. After all, he is Nrsimhadev. Philosophers have argued whether Yashoda Mai did the right thing. Did she do the right thing? She had to attend to the mill quickly and would have been encumbered by her son if she'd carried him with her. She could have dropped Krishna if she carried him hurriedly to the kitchen. Is it reasonable to abandon one's hungry son for a pot of milk, especially when we are surrounded with Braj's milk-soaked pastures? And is this reasonable that this act was perpetuated by one who is known as the presiding deity of affectionate mothers? Others argue that for Yashoda Mai and Nanda Baba, their homes, bodies, relatives, lives are fully dedicated to Krishna. They consider everything to be his. Similarly, the milk is meant for Krishna. It is even more important than Krishna. How can that be so? So Yashoda Mai decided that Krishna's interest would be best served by saving the milk, even at the cost of him being hungry. Sometimes confronted with two equally important things or tasks, one must attend to one of them at the cost of the other. For a great devotee like Yashoda Mai, the proper intuition on how to make such a decision is given to her by the Lord in the heart. How can she be at fault, however extraordinary her action may appear to us? So this is a really interesting point. Was she right in putting Krishna down and saving the milk? We must remember in these pastimes, Krishna is simultaneously fully cognizant of his Godhead as he is absorbed in his identity as a child. So they're both running in parallel. He's God, he knows he's God, yet he's also a child, he's behaving like a child, and is actually feeling all the everything that a child would feel. It is not that Krishna's consciousness oscillates between omniscience and innocence. They are parallel states of existence in which neither obstruct the unique mood of the other, just as the Ganga and Yamuna rivers flow in the same riverbed without mixing. This is in Prayagraj. We have the Yamuna and we have the Ganga. They don't mix, they flow together. So in the same way, Krishna's Godhead, Krishna's childhood, mood are simultaneously maintained at the same time. Text number 6, being very angry and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, Krishna, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone. Then he entered a room and began to eat the freshly churned butter in a solitary place. So, just back to the question about Yashoda Mai. Yashoda Mai is demonstrated the quality exhibited by an exceptionally qualified devotee, that to serve Krishna, devotees would agree even to be separated from Krishna. Only because it pleased him would Yashoda Mai let Krishna herd calves in the forest at such a young age. Otherwise, why would she let him go to the forest? Only because Krishna wanted to deliver Vasudeva and Devaki would the Brijvasis allow him to go to Mathura. While separation between lovers is generally painful, it was different with Krishna and the Brijvasis. When Krishna was distant from the Brijvasis, externally they behaved as if they were being poisoned. However, the internal reality when the Brijvasis, which the Brijvasis felt, was entirely different. When separation appears devastating, it's actually cause of feelings of unprecedented bliss. This is something very, very hard for us to actually get our head around. But when Krishna left Mathura, the Brijvasis were devastated. But within that devastation is this feeling of unprecedented bliss, which they are feeling because of remembrance of Krishna, the intensity of remembrance of Krishna. And the same applies to Krishna as well. When he was in the forest, Krishna's heart yearned for his mother's touch. When he was in Mathura, Krishna would cry for the Brijbasis. When he was sleeping beside Rukmini, he would call out Radha's name. At these times, Krishna's suffering was so extreme that it frightened his associates, yet at the same time within himself, Krishna felt unprecedented happiness and bliss, overpowering heartache, intense longing, and unrelenting hope were catalysts that transformed his suffering into ecstasy. So now Krishna was feeling separation due to neglect, and from those thoughts emerged feelings of anger, of love. This, together with the knowledge that Yashodama's experience of bliss out of separation from her darling son would exceed his own bliss, his mounting anger finally erupted. A shower of hot, angry tears issued from Krishna's daughter's eyes. So were his tears real or false? From scriptures we know that the Lord is always satisfied within himself. He's known as Atmarama, and he knows neither hunger nor thirst. So it is not contradictory to say that Krishna, so is it not contradictory to say that Krishna is hungry and angry? Well, yeah, interesting. So now is he pretending to be dissatisfied and angry in order to nourish the paternal love of Yashodamai? Well, learned opinion of the Vaishnava Gurus is that Krishna is not acting. Dependence on his parents is a feature of his essential identity. From that dependence sprouts the inspiration by which he became the father of all living entities, and hence their maintainer, Janardhan. Krishna is the original feature of Godhead, not an expansion of Narayan. Therefore, whatever moods and gestures we see him express are spontaneous, not a show. Krishna was looking for something to vent his anger on. He managed to find a pointed stone, which he brought from the courtyard into the house the previous day. He used that stone to crack the churn and break the pot. There you go, the beginning of the naughtiness in his own home for the first time. Casting a guilty glance in the direction of Yashodhama, he noted that she had not heard him and was still preoccupied in the kitchen. Pleased with his antics, Krishna had a mischievous smile on his face. However, the churn cracked in two, and all the yogurt and butter contained therein spilled onto the floor, as did the yogurt in the pot he broke. This made Krishna even more angry, and he splashed the spilled contents here and there. He resolved to raid the storeroom. The storehouse, or room, was adjoining the kitchen. It was here that Yashodhama stored cooking supplies like wheat, rice, spices, milk products, in clay pots hanging from the ceiling. The room was dark and cool. Krishna also knew where the keys were kept hidden. For Krishna, this was going into unknown territory. He was entering on uncharted waters. Never before had he been so daring, not in his own home. Although he was ruthless at the neighbors' homes, he was always careful not to upset his mother at home. Good domestic conduct assured him of her royal protection from village complaints. But now his mood was, I don't care. Finding the key, he slipped into the storeroom door lock. He slipped it into the storeroom door lock and turned it. After opening the door, he entered the storeroom and closed the door behind him. It was pitch black, but not for long. Invoking his divine effulgence, Krishna lit up the storeroom. He looked at the many pots hanging from the ceiling. They were too high for him to reach. He found a tall mortar in which his mother would grind spices, and he used that mortar to reach the pots hanging from the ceiling. There you go. Removing a few pots with great effort, Krishna placed them on the ground and he crawled to the ground. Finally, he had what he wanted, yesterday's freshly churned butter. Ripping off the cloth coverings, he sampled the butter from each pot. The taste of the butter was incredible, but it was not like any other butter because it was Yashodamai's love for him in the form of dairy. Krishna continued to savor the butter, but he restrained himself from Eating too much, he thought, if I overeat, the effect of this butter will subdue me, making me submissive to mother, and thus no more stealing, no more mischief, and it would bring this pastime to an end. This was the reason he stole the neighbor's milk products and not his mother's. The neighbor's produce lacked the intensity of Yashodamai's love, and thus it lacked the same controlling power. He could eat that as much as he wanted. Krishna could therefore freshly plunder their homes without fear of becoming a docile do-gooder, and the laughing stock of his friends. But this morning, Krishna's anger insulated him from the domesticating effects of his mother's butter. And in ecstasy, he was relishing the special taste of her labor, although he was acutely aware that his mother could show up at any moment. There was also a problem as he was relishing the special treat. It caused his anger to subside, giving rise to the fear of his mother's reaction to the mayhem he had caused. He thought, what will happen when mother sees the mess I've made? Here he is, looking scared. Where is she? Is she coming? Tears began wailing up in his eyes, flowing down his cheeks. Who knows what she will do? With thoughts of punishment surfacing in his mind, Krishna sought escape, the nearest door to the grand hall where the guards are stationed. Nearest door led to the grand hall where the guards are stationed. They will raise the alarm, not a good escape route. The only other way out was back through the kitchen and the bed chamber, and then down the back staircase to the courtyard. Krishna carefully opened the door and, holding the pot of butter to his chest, he passed through the open space. Afraid to look in the direction of his mother, Krishna followed his own buttery footsteps, which he had left whenever he went. Shredding false tears as insurance of being caught, he noticed that she had just finished cleaning up. When he reached the broken churn, he was thrilled by his good work and stomped around in the spilled produce for good measure. Then, feeling very satisfied with himself, he left through the back door, down the stairs, onto the courtyard. Okay, so we can stop there. We're at number 7. These pastimes are so incredible. The naughtiness of the Lord. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, anyway.
Wasn't this Leela that Krishna himself had set up? So
Mm.
his tears and his crying and his
Yes.
anger, could that be real? No.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is what the acharyas have been debating. Is this real or is this false tears?
So we can
But
reach a conclusion.
yeah, but the like Rupa Goswami and who wrote this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they're pretty clear that Krishna's Godhead is present, but his childlike personality is present at the same time. And they don't mix, just like the Yamuna and Ganga don't mix in Prayag. So he's feeling both, that I am God, who is this gopi to tell me of? And he's feeling, oh my God, what have I just done? He's scared, stiff. So he's got both those feelings at the same time, and both are real. Within himself, both are real. Hard for us to completely comprehend that, but yeah, but that's what the
Even the Supreme Lord, he was at that time in this material world like a child in a
yeah,
human sort of environment. So
correct.
so it's more likely to be behaving as a child when they would cry and they would
Yeah.
be hungry or angry when they're not fed. So that is a possibility.
Because he was enjoying that mood, of being completely dependent on her, on Yashoda Mai's, mercy and being looked after by her. He loves that. Yeah, he loves that. So
Yeah.
thank you, Naniman. Very good. So,
Very
anything else? Anybody else? Otherwise, we can stop there. Okay, thank you. Damodali Rakhi Jai, Srimad Bhagavad Purana Ki